Good evening, welcome to 333, The Truth of Your Reality, a conversation between myself and the universe. During the last video, I asked that question, who are you talking to when you're talking to yourself? And despite saying I was going to answer it this week, I'm going to leave that for a while because I feel strongly that I need to do a short video, two connected videos to still prove that the universe itself is pure consciousness and manifests the material world around us. Firstly, I want to cover intelligent design and the mark of the creator. Now, this is some real cool stuff. The first thing I want to say is I do not know why the stuff I'm going to share with you wasn't taught to us at school or wasn't taught to my generation and generations before. And I recently spoke to a maths teacher in secondary school and I asked if the subject matter I'm going to discuss was now taught, and he wasn't even aware of it himself, and no, they didn't teach it. Why this is so interesting is because what I'm going to show you is a pattern to the universe that some of you will probably already be aware of or familiar with, but there's an underlying pattern to things, a design, a format, a blueprint as such to everything. And this blueprint encompasses everything in the natural world, from DNA to offspring numbers, to the way galaxies are formed, to storms and hurricanes, to the way plants are formed. It's literally everywhere. It's the blueprint of the cosmos. What's even more interesting is when this pattern I'm going to show you is utilised in art, music, advertising, it seems to resonate easy on the eye. It fits. It's comfortable, it's what we're used to because it's the blueprint of the universe. It's the blueprint of ourselves. So when we see this blueprint utilised in certain things, naturally we're drawn to it because it rings at the frequency we're created at or created of. So I want to explore the Fibonacci Series and Phi, the divine proportion. I've no idea why we have got taught this pi and all the other geometry we taught in maths but never taught Phi, because when I was first made aware of this I thought it was profound. Anyway, the Fibonacci series is a simple set of numbers starting with 0 and then 1, and then to get the next number you add the two preceding numbers, so the next number would be 1 again, the next number would be 2, and then the next number would be 3, then 5, then 8, then 13, then 21, and so on. This is the Fibonacci series. And this is the grounding, this is the basis for the understanding for Phi, or the divine proportion. These images that I'm showing you now are examples of where the golden ratio, Phi, is found in nature. And you can see it encompasses everything. Now we'll look at it in architecture, in the human body, in the face, in bone structure. This is literally everywhere. And the powers that be utilise it. It's in the ratio of your credit cards. It's in the ratio of a lot of your devices that you use. This 1.618 to 1 is literally everywhere, which then begs the question, if the universe is an accident, why is this blueprint number so profound everywhere in the universe? Yeah, you could sit there and argue if you look for any number you'll find it in the universe, but no, sorry, that's really not working, because you won't find other ratios as significant as the 1.618 to 1. What's crazy is when you get down the Fibonacci series from about, I think it's the 12th number maybe, when you divide it with the preceding number it starts to fall out at 1.618, and then after so many numbers it stays at 1.618. So there's a connection between Phi and the Fibonacci. Interesting, really interesting. So why do you think it's not taught? Because the information's there, it's readily available, but it's only readily available when you know what you're looking for, or when you go looking for it, which, who's going to punch in randomly Phi? No one. And yet we have art from an early age. Why isn't the golden ratio, the divine proportion, mentioned in art classes? I'm an artist, it wasn't taught to me at school. The first time I heard of it was actually at university, where a art lecturer read out a section from the book by Dan Brown, The Da Vinci Code, which mentions the divine proportion. When I heard of it I nearly fell off my chair, because to me the dots that joined were fast, were quick. And it was, wow, there's really a connected design to everything. Naturally, I went away and checked it out, and yeah, boom, there it was. I even bought a few mathematical books on the divine proportion, which confirmed totally the sources and the information I was being told originally wasn't off, it was true. So why did we spend hours learning soccer tower to never use it? Why did we spend hours learning pi and how to work out the area of a circle, or the diameter or the circumference of a circle? Why? Why wasn't we taught about phi, the divine proportion, which we could use in our jobs, which we could use in our creativity? It's plain and simple why. We're dumbed down. We're made not to believe. We're controlled not to believe. Whether it's control or... There's certainly a lot of suggestion out there that the powers that be, as much as it's pumped through science and pumped through media, that there can't be a God. The same people clearly believe in something. If you watch the private lives and some of the societies these people seem to be a part of. I'm not going to go down that road yet, but if you do go down those roads and you have a look, there's some interesting background to the leaders of the world when you look at some of the societies they were in the university days and some of the societies that people seem to engage in now. There's clearly a worshipping of something going on, and yet the same powers that run things push out continually through the school system. An atheistic perspective is the logical perspective, and yet, in the words of Einstein, one of the greatest thinkers of modern man, Einstein sat on the fence. He was wise enough to say he couldn't prove God existed, but he couldn't not prove God existed. Now that's a logical standpoint. That's where anyone who's ever contemplated the bigger picture of things, that's where really anyone logically should sit. Forgetting religious and the stories of religion for 1 second, because we all know we can place them in a different, they don't fit to what we know. But forgetting that for one moment and just putting the emphasis on an overall underlying consciousness to everything, that the universe itself is alive, taking a totally different standpoint, that can't be proven or disproven. But there's certainly a lot more evidence showing that it can be proven. Certainly in quantum physics, a lot more evidence is leaning towards the universe being alive. And quickly, going back to religion, we have to remember with those religious books, they were written for man at that time. And the underlying consciousness of everything, when messages and information would be coming through from an higher source, from an higher dimension, if you will, all been proven through science, dimensional space, it's all there. Anyway, these old stories, if any of those books would have opened with, in the beginning was a big bang, and particles the size of an atom grew to the size of the sun in a trillionth of a second, or the size of a solar system in a trillionth of a second, and there were dinosaurs, man and woman at that time would have threw these books down because they would have made no sense. I firmly believe the messages have come through time at there's been different times and eras where the message comes through, but it comes through at a level of understanding that people at that time can grasp. I'm going to leave that alone. Anyway, back onto phi and the divine proportion, and why is it not being taught? It's not being passed down in information wise because when you make the connection that you might be part of something bigger, naturally it empowers you. We're not just born here to live and to die. We have purpose. The world wants you to believe you're here to be born and you're here just to die and there's nothing more. What reason would that be with the universe? Why would there be a universe, and why would we be walking up on it if the purpose was none at all? Do you really think the universe has no purpose and that it's just happening? Because nothing seems to just happen. A tree doesn't just happen, it serves a purpose. The sun doesn't just happen, it serves a purpose. Everything, it seems, has a purpose, and yet the world we live in are trying to convince all of you that you have no purpose. And then you're tricked and brainwashed into finding purpose, which is far off from the one the universe wanted for you to begin with. Chasing a mortgage down isn't a purpose. Grafting every day for a bigger house is not purpose. I admire anyone who's got wonderful, luxurious surroundings, but trust me, you're no richer than the man who's got nothing if there's love in the arm of the poor person and no love in the arm of the rich person. We're all being misguided. True wealth of man is never materialistic. True wealth of man is knowing his or her true calling, because the adrenaline rush and the way you'll feel when you find that purpose will far exceed and outweigh any materialistic items. And it will be these true riches that when your time comes and you do take your last moments here, will leave you with a smile upon your face as you leave. I don't think the £20,000 car on the driveway will give you that same sensation. as you leave this realm of existence, not by any stretch. It's time to wake up, folks, honestly, it really is. There's a conditioning, there's a brainwashing happening, it's frightening. On social media recently, I witnessed in the summertime a sudden rush in UK females drinking gin. Everywhere you saw on social media, gin this, gin that, and you sit back and you think, wow, that's how easy it is to get a good chunk of society all doing the same thing. I think the point I'm making is we dumb down and we're following programs, pattern behaviour. We're mammals, we follow the pack. By nature we're scared to upset the pack in case the pack disowns us. Unfortunately, the world's not pack motivated anymore. It's every man out for themselves. Yeah, there's good people out there who live altruistically and give. I'm one of them, I like to give. But there's a good chunk out there who live for themselves, because we don't live as a pack anymore. Our packs now become our family, which can be the confinings of four walls. This pack mentality, this mammal behaviour to fit in, it's being used against us. It's being used to hold you down. And the sooner you learn to not give a damn about what the next person thinks regarding what you do or how you live your life, you will start to become free from the system. Free from having to keep up. Free from having to wear the best clothes, the best designer labels. And people who are in that position will sit there and say, but I like to wear the best designer labels. The question is, what grounds of benefit does that mentality help you? Because the true question lies in, what do you really need? Forget about what you want. Wanting something that's right out of the realm of social conditioning. Because your true self actually wants nothing. There's a few things you need. Sleep, food, water. Those are essentials. The air you breathe, that's the kind of things you need. But when you start to step into the realm in the world of want, that's where stuff gets a little bit out there. That's where people start to get a little bit obsessed with the latest things, the latest phones, the latest gadgets, the latest cars, which make them work more, which make them throw more money into the system to keep these corporate elite laughing, sipping champagne on yachts. They have wages and bonuses that are bigger than what most of us earn. The bonus itself is bigger than what most of us earn. And you're feeding it. And all the time we're feeding that and we're neglecting ourselves. And this is where we're lost. Because when you rewrite when you go to the blackboard and you wipe it all clear and you start again with a fresh slate and you start to realise I'm part of something bigger, you actually become dangerous. That's exactly what the system doesn't want. The creative mind, one of you out there, living your true purpose, would break this system. That's what evolution is. Spoke about this with consciousness, evolution, it's the same thing. There is no divide between God, the universe itself, and evolution. Evolution is learning, and trust me, one of you lot out there learning with the freedom to do it, not trapped in this system, would override this system. We're dumbed down. It's not a joke, it's not some crazy talk. We're dumbed down, and we're so powerful. We are creative beings, we manifest reality, and we're being shifted and shaped to manifest a certain reality that does not suit the masses. Some 98% of the world are struggling, while the top 2% of the world have got all the money. That's crazy. There's parts of the world where people live on less than £1 a day. It shouldn't be happening. Should not be happening. And you can't tell me in a world where they can create these missiles and spend billions of pounds, billions of dollars, whatever, on military. They couldn't have fixed the water crisis in Africa yet. Really? It's wrong. Things need to change, people. We need to wake up, we need to snap out of it. And it's not even difficult. There's no revolution to be had. There's no war on the streets needed. It's a simple evolution and a revolution from each and every one of us of a raising of consciousness. Start listening to that voice that's inside. Because like Steve Jobs said, follow your heart even when it leads you from the well-worn path. It somehow already knows what you truly want to become. There's a lot of truth there. Just quickly going back to us being dumbed down and powers that be manipulating certain things through the media. I'm going to give 3 examples of where certain truths have been changed and manipulated. And we are going to get back to 5. The first one is the swastika. The swastika, many of you will straight away connect with Adolf Hitler and the symbol for the Aryan race. But this isn't at all what the swastika originally symbolised. Swastika's old, very old. Can be dated right back to Sanskrit, to Hinduism, even to Buddhism. Never ever used as a bad symbol, as a dark entity, but always used as a positive. And yet in Western society specifically, it's now held as a symbol of monstrosity, naturally attached to the Hitler regime. The second thing I'm going to mention is something I noticed a few years ago, which really surprised me. It's the westernised idea, or the westernised commercial representation of Buddha. A lot of people will recognise Buddha as being a bald fella with a fat belly, with a bag of whatever he's holding and some beads. This is not Buddha. This little fella is a fella called Buddhai or Otai, who was a Japanese, I think, or Chinese Buddhist monk. This is not the true Buddha, and yet this person, this charlatan, is sold continually as Buddha. Why is this? Because if you look at the true Buddha, which you will see in shops and statues, but is not usually represented as Buddha to a lot of people, is the total opposite and contrast to the fat Buddha. The true Buddha's almost androgynous. The true Buddha's got hair in a specific shape. The true Buddha is about balance and harmony, hence why he's not overweight. The true Buddha is not about wealth, hence no jewels and no bag of items, material worth. This again is another example, and the reason I'm swinging around through these examples is because of this image I'm going to show you now. What do you think of that image, commonly perceived as a symbol for Satanism, the pentagram or pentacle? This is so untrue. Our ancients used this as a symbol to ward off evil spirits and dark entities. The pentacle, or five-sided star, you'll see on many flags from around the world, including the United States flag, including the Islam flag. It's a five-pointed star. This, if anything, well, it is. It's a visual representation of God's or the architect's fingerprint. Each line is the interesting bit about the pentagram. Each line and then joining line thereafter intersects is exactly 1.618. How about that? And our ancients use this sign as a symbol for energy, because there was no break between the first point and the last point. There's a continual flow from start to finish where it can repeat again. And yet, through media, through movies, this symbol of good, this symbol of our architect, has been denounced and played down. Just food for thought. Things for you to think about, that what we perceive and what we're kind of fed, what we believe to be true, a lot of the times isn't true. Like I said, there's definitely an agenda. You're being dumbed down, you're being depowered for only one reason. Nothing insidious, but just to keep things the way they are. Because like I said earlier, one of you guys out there, the creative mind, at some point, or maybe all of us as a whole, will switch off from this system and evolve to something new, because this system is not working. It's not working. Too many people struggling, too few people living it large. Next week we'll connect some dots between phi and the divine proportion, and we'll start to look at numbers. Insignificant, the number 9, well, the numbers 3, 6 and 9, manifestation numbers that Nikola Tesla said were the keys to the universe. Peace, love and light. God bless. Speak soon.